did promise, I keep promising to do a video on the setting up of the United States by the occult. There's so much information involved. You're talking about many hours of information that it's difficult to get it together. But basically, if you think about before Great Britain started sending people over in the 1600s, when Christopher Columbus sailed out from Spain thinking that he was heading for India, I think it was, he ended up in the Bahamas, and then I think on the way back he landed on Cuba thinking that he was in China. But anyway, from his various expeditions back and forth, he managed to reach various South American countries, and from that, over I think a period of about 300 years, then the Spanish started to slowly colonize those countries and even reached deep into the US on its western side, and also obviously Florida. They took Florida. The boats that Columbus sailed in way back in 1492, which really tells you something, had the symbol of the Templar Knights, big white sails and a big red cross. Now, I don't think it really matters whether it's the Templar Knights, the Rosicrucians, or the Freemasons. They're all secret or semi-secret organisations that you'll find that all the world's top elite families, politicians, entertainers, the music industry, Hollywood, the whole shaboom, they're all involved in secret societies. You can't get on, and I've said this for many years, you cannot get on in this world and push your way to the top unless you're involved in one of these secret societies, one or more. The Masons, obviously, they're the main one. That's the one that's really gone worldwide, and that's the one that you'll be pulled into if you want to go on in the music industry, in Hollywood, or in politics. You get pulled in through that system, and then you're sworn to secrecy. And of course, that's why you see all these celebrities worldwide, when they're getting photographs taken for magazines and whatnot, they all make stupid signs, either covering one of their eyes or doing this, or giving the hidden hand sign, basically because they think we're stupid, so they're laughing at us. If you look at, well, the American Revolution, that was all planned. That was planned by the elite families. America, the United States of America, was originally set up by and controlled by the occult leading families. The founding fathers were practically all Freemasons. Who hated the God of the Bible and mocked the Bible. So when the revolution came along and the United States broke away from Great Britain, it being planned, the occult forces immediately took control, and if you only have to look at the layout of Washington DC, the world's first Masonic city, to see how evil it all is. The United States was set up to be the engine room to push the world forward to exactly where we are today. During the US's something like 246-year history, it's been at war, apart from 17 years of peace it's had with itself and the world. 17 years out of 246. So that you're talking about almost 230 years it's been at war. And you've got to wonder why. Why is that? For a country that's situated where it is, it doesn't have to be at war with anyone. If all the US troops, military, the Navy, the Army, were all held within the United States, no one from any country would ever attack and try and take over, because it would be virtually impossible. And the founding fathers even knew that. It was such a big country, so far away, it was safe. And I think one of them at one point even said that if the United States was to fall, it would fall from within, not from without. So there's no need, no reason for the United States to be at war anywhere in the world. But we know why it does. To plunder riches, whatever it can get its hands on, anywhere. That's why it causes revolutions and civil wars all over the planet. It also helps keep the populations down. But if you look, you only have to look at a map, a street map of Washington DC, and it's quite alarming, really. You've got to wonder, why on earth would anyone plan the streets in such ridiculous shapes? Then you spot the massive five-pointed star made out with roads, because it means that a lot of the buildings in Washington DC have got to be built in strange angles because of the way the streets are laid out. This five-pointed star is a perfectly made five-pointed star, same one as they use, well, witches and warlocks, whoever's involved in the occult, who summon demons or try to summon Lucifer, if you're crazy enough. It's the same star. It's got one arm on it that's not complete. And so that's used to defend the idea that, they never meant to make a five-pointed star. It's just a coincidence, and look, one of the arms on it isn't complete. But you find people involved in the occult know that a five-pointed star that's not complete has more power than a complete star for some reason. It allows you to call in demons and hold them if the star isn't complete. So they say. So that's why the star on the streets of Washington DC is not complete, because they're actually calling out to Lucifer to come down and rule over them. You've got to wonder as well at the number of statues and carvings there are to all the pagan gods you can think of throughout Washington DC. They don't put up Christian monuments. So if it was a Christian country set up by Christians, why is it full of pagan deities? And on the National Archives building, why has it got a giant carving of a man called Destiny? There are quite a few famous Masons. It seems like Masonry is something that I think there's more people per head of population in the States involved in the Masonic lodges than anywhere else on the planet. And one of their most famous Masons wrote a book called The Secret Destiny of America. He wrote another book called, I think it was America's Assignment with Destiny. So this statue of this guy called Destiny on the National Archives building is there for a reason, because he represents a man who will soon appear as the Antichrist warrior leader of the new one world order, which will be the world turning back to ancient paganism, really. That is the secret destiny of America, to produce this one world leader under Lucifer. If you are a Mason, or you know about Masonry, and you say, oh, but Masonry is a good thing, they do a lot of good. Yeah, that's their front. Their front men can do good, hospitals and all the rest of it, raise money for charity. But like the most famous Masons like Albert Pike and Manly P. Hall, they'll tell you that Masonry is a fraternity within a fraternity. The outer fraternity is the one that does all the good, but there's an inner fraternity that's only for the elite of Masons. And Albert Pike himself will tell you who their God is, and they'll both tell you that the Masonic lodges are temples of religion, and that all the ceremonies are religious ceremonies. So any Mason or anyone who knows about Masonry and tries to say that, nah, it's nothing to do with religion, yeah, you've got to believe in the God, but it's nothing to do with religion, is nonsense, absolute nonsense. In the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, it tells you quite clearly that an atheist is nothing less than a fool. You can't be an atheist and join a Masonic lodge. You've got to believe in a God or supreme being, and their supreme being, like Albert Pike will tell you, is Lucifer. And this guy Albert Pike, he was a Confederate general, and he's the only Confederate to have a monument built for him in his honor. And that is because he was so high up and renowned in world Freemasonry. So it doesn't matter that he was a Confederate, it doesn't matter that he stood for slavery, he fought to maintain slavery. It's nothing to do with that. Sorry, that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they built a monument to him. The monument was built because of his high standing in Freemasonry. And the monument is seemingly just round the corner from the White House. It's not far away. In one of its infamous lodges. But on the streets of Washington DC, you will also see a giant owl. A depiction of the little owl that's on the US dollar. It's on the obverse side of the US dollar. A tiny hidden owl that you need a magnifying glass to help you find it. But it's there. There may even be more than one owl. The US $1 note is covered in Masonic symbols and the number 13, which they'll tell you, oh, that's to do with the initial 13 colonies. It's more actually to do with the occult than anything else, because you'll see also, apart from the owl, which is the owl of Molech that the ancients used to sacrifice children to. Well, that's why Moloch is on the dollar, and that's why the Illuminati pyramid with the single eye at the top of the pyramid, the unfinished pyramid with the single eye with the blazing star behind it, which is not our sun, which most people are fooled into believing. But the single eye does not represent the one true God. It's not an all-seeing eye, it's the single-seeing eye of Lucifer, or Eye of Horus. Because the devil can only be in one place at one time, whereas in the Bible, any depictions of the Creator using eyes, it's multiple eyes. Because God is all-knowing. He's everywhere at all times. He sees everything. There's nothing that he doesn't see. So you can't depict the Creator God with a single eye. So we know that that single eye is nothing to do with the God of the Bible and everything to do with Lucifer and the soon coming Antichrist leader. But this is why all these people cover one eye. It's the one-eyed shepherd, the one that's to come, the worthless one-eyed shepherd, as the Bible calls him. That's going to be their leader. That's who they're looking for. Who 3.5 years after he arrives on earth, Lucifer is cast out of heaven and will enter into his body. So he won't only just be possessed, but he'll be possessed by Lucifer himself, which will turn him into the wildest, most evil, murderous creature this planet has ever seen. So anyway, I've got to stop now. I'll continue this later.